everyone. It's been a little while. I have been wanting to put together a video for a while of just a little bit about what's been going on, but also why I've pulled away from YouTube so much, just as an explanation since I sort of dropped off the face of the planet. What I did was I had filmed several videos back in March and April detailing my thoughts, and I kind of thought I would put them together in a compilation, and then I completely forgot about it. And I came across those videos somewhat recently and decided that I still wanted to put them together and put them out there because they still held up pretty much 100% from when I filmed them several months ago. Things always change a little bit, but ultimately I think they're still a really good representation of what I'm feeling and where I'm at right now. It's gonna be a little bit longer, but hopefully it's helpful for you guys and gives you some good context to what's going on. I might throw together and edit a bunch of clips together to formulate my video, because every time I think of something else that I'd like to put in the new video that I'm working on, I just think of these things in segments, and perhaps I should just sit down and record my thought at the moment and then piece them together into something that will become a bigger video. I wanted to talk a little bit about one of the reasons that I haven't been posting as much, and I feel like hopefully people will relate and understand. For the vast majority of my life, I have been worried about my weight. Since I was pretty young, I remember needing and wanting and desiring to change my eating habits and just worrying about my weight and my size and things that, a 9-year-old probably shouldn't worry about. And so this has consumed my life in one way or another for a very, very long time. If we're talking about just trying and failing different diets as a young adult and as a teenager, middle schooler over the years. If we're talking about going through and doing Weight Watchers, going through and doing keto, going through and doing, various different things, trying in one way, shape, or form to do better and to lose weight, and ultimately failing until I got gastric bypass. Although it is a lot of work and it's still really hard and something that I have to work at, I have found success. For the first time in my life, I found success with being where I want to be, being able to do what I want to do, losing the weight that I needed to lose, to increase the quality of my life. So all that rambling to say, this is the first time that I felt like in my life where it doesn't have to be the number one thing going on in my life anymore. It has been exhausting. I am 35 years old. It has been exhausting to spend 30 years in the high 20s at least, thinking about my weight and worrying about my weight and having that be the main center of my concerns and anxiety, especially growing up and being, vulnerable, a vulnerable child and teenager, and that being the center of my world. And it made sense when I was going through this process. I wanted to record it. I wanted to share my experience. I wanted to just be a voice and somebody out there of my size, because I wasn't seeing a lot of people who were as heavy as me posting their experience online. I just wanted to add to the things that were out there, not to tell people what to do or anything. I just wanted to share. Hopefully it being helpful, and it made sense for that to become my identity for several years, because that's what I've always done. I was completely enveloped in the Weight Watchers world when I was, doing it. It was my whole existence. I would get really sucked into it. When they came out with their Connect, their social media app, I was posting on there all the time. It just, these things have been topics that have been so relevant to me for so long that I can and do speak on them a lot. And so it made sense that this became my entire identity going through this process, until I hit a point where I realized I didn't want that anymore. I don't want this to be my entire identity. And it didn't take very long after I kind of hit that 3-year mark that I realized that I feel like I'm sort of done. Not that I don't want to share my experience, not that I don't want to continue updating, periodically, not that my journey is over, but putting out videos all the time, it consuming so much of my life and my time is not what I want to do anymore. And I never wanted to be a YouTuber, so I can't just switch gears and start doing like daily lifestyle vlogs or something. I don't want to be a YouTuber. The whole point of starting this was to just share my experience. And I think I've shared the bulk of it. But I've gotten to a point now where I am happy where I'm at. It's not what I thought it would look like. I always thought that I might lose 40 more pounds. I just always had a vision. I think we all have a vision of what we think it's going to look like at the end. And we would all be clairvoyant if everything always turned out the way that we envisioned it. I finally came to the point where I realized I am happy where I'm at. I can do everything I want to do. My weight does not hold me back. My weight does not cause the issues that I had before. My doctor is really happy with me, and she says that I'm really healthy, and she makes really nice comments on how skinny I am every time I go see her. She's content with where I've landed with this. Why am I not content with where I've landed at this? And I started thinking about it really hard and realizing I am. I am happy. I don't want to think about it anymore. Not as hard as I have been. I'm going to have to think about it. I'm going to have to be somebody who struggles with obesity for the rest of my life, surgery or not. I have to be mindful about things. I can't just throw caution to the wind and eat and do whatever I want. I do have to be mindful. Unfortunately, that's the hand I've been dealt in life. However, that doesn't mean that it has to consume every waking moment. And in the last 30 days, roughly, since I've been back from the honeymoon and just kind of got back into my normal routine and stuff, I found that I stopped thinking about it. I've weighed myself twice, I think. The first time was as soon as I got back from the vacation, because you always have to, right? Regardless if you're on a weight loss journey, you always have to see like how bad was the damage when I ate all that stuff on vacation. And I hadn't lost or gained any weight because we were walking 10 miles a day. And then I weighed, I don't know, maybe a week ago or something. I don't even remember the date that I weighed anymore, to see, since I've had this mindset that I don't really want to care or think about it too much anymore. Okay, now that I've done that for a few weeks, where am I looking like? Same place I was before, which is something I started realizing. I can work really hard and be really upset at myself because I'm not seeing the results that I think I should see, or I can just enjoy my life, do the things I want to do, be myself, and just live my life, and I'm in the same spot no matter what. So it seems like a no-brainer to me that I just live my life. I don't want it to sound like, I'm quitting YouTube and all this stuff. I feel like I would like to continue posting occasionally if I feel like maybe I have an insight or something. But I also never wanted, and continue to not want, and I don't want to be somebody who is almost an authority figure on a subject online. I get a lot of comments from people that think that I'm giving advice, that for whatever reason might misinterpret what I'm saying, or pull their own conclusions from what I'm saying. And, part of that can be on me for communicating better. Part of it can be on other people for being careful about what you're consuming. I think this argument can be made for all of social media. Maybe don't take everything that you see as, some gospel truth of something that you need to now implement in your life. I mean, social media exists. You can consume it without it running your life. So, I mean, I don't like feeling like I'm in a position of being responsible for other people's actions. Although there is a certain amount of that I have to be willing to accept if I'm putting information out online, because regardless of how well I'm trying to communicate something, someone is going to pull something from what I'm saying that isn't what I'm saying and act upon it. I just don't want to be in a position anymore where I'm putting things out there, where my whole intent was to just share my experience and my research and my journey. And I've tried to be clear with that, but I have learned over the last few years that I have not been clear enough that this is just my experience, my journey, my opinion. Everything is just from a lens of what I am doing. It's never meant to supersede what people's doctors say. It's never been meant to say, well, I know more than someone else knows. It's just always been, hey, I've done some research. I've been living this life. I've been doing this. Here's what I've found, and here's how I'm experiencing it. I have come to terms with the fact that no matter how many times I put that in the description, people don't read the description. And no matter how many times, even if I were to say it before every video, people are still going to take something potentially else away from that. So I have enough of the old videos that happens on. I don't really have a big desire to put new videos out there for new people to continue to see and comment on. I guess this just boils down to, I never intended to be a YouTuber. I don't want to be a YouTuber. I'm not very good at being a YouTuber. I barely filmed a single thing from my wedding. I'm not good at that being my default. I just wanted to share my experience and my progress and what I was learning from my viewpoint only. And I think that's done. For the most part, the vast majority of what I had to say and what I experienced, I think, is done, because I've now reached a point where I feel good and I feel like I can get on with my normal life. And if my normal life isn't constantly thinking about all this stuff and talking about it, then I'm no longer really adding videos and content about this subject anymore. Then it would just be how I'm doing. And I can pop in occasionally and say that, and that's totally fine, but it's not going to be the same. It's just not going to be the same here anymore, because it's not the center of my universe. So that was longer and took longer to say than I intended. I think there's an important part to note also of all of this that is a really sad fact, but it's a fact nonetheless. I had resigned, I think, at a certain point to feeling like I was never going to feel pretty, never going to feel pretty enough, never going to feel, I don't even want to say attractive, just sort of like on a self-confidence level, you know, like never really where I want to be. And I think anytime I pictured in the future my wedding or, you know, a big event or something like that, I just don't think it occurred to me that I could feel good enough, that I could feel gorgeous on a day like that. So I think it was very profound for me after the wedding to have realized that I have reached a point where I feel good enough. I felt gorgeous on my wedding day. I felt like I was able to be myself. And I try to say this very carefully, because I don't want it to sound like I wasn't good enough when I was heavier, because that's absolutely not the case. But there is a certain amount of this that boils down to self-confidence, and at a certain size, my limitations and just everything combined made me feel like I couldn't feel that way about myself, despite the fact that I do have more weight to lose, you know, to get into a normal BMI, or you know, just to not be technically considered you know, overweight or obese anymore. You know, yeah, is there room for improvement? Sure. I didn't just, you know, I didn't lose 200 pounds. I didn't lose enough to be in that position. But I don't think I need to have either. It's really hard for me to put into words some of this. I'm doing the best that I can, but I think about my middle school and high school self and the images and thoughts that I had about my future wedding. and all the limitations that I had as a young girl, just not feeling like I would ever be able to feel beautiful in a wedding dress and have the image of myself that I ended up actually having. At the end of the day, I got exactly what I wanted and I got exactly what I needed out of the surgery. I'm able to do the things that I want to do. I am not limited in any way by my weight anymore. I get to live my life the way that I want to live my life, the way that I've always wanted to live my life, but was held back by my weight, by my limitations. But also I got to have that dream experience of my wedding that I truly didn't think I was ever going to get. I wish I could show my younger self what I've accomplished and what it's going to be in the future. But also, even though we love Disney and we love theme parks, that has always been something that has held me back in the past. I've always struggled with loving theme parks and fearing and sometimes not even being able to fit on rides. So I not only felt beautiful during my wedding, but I got to incorporate something that I love. I got to incorporate my love of theme parks without a care in the world that there was going to be an issue with me and rides. Like, it was just this beautiful marrying of ideas and accomplishments. I'm trying in a somewhat poor way, I think, to explain this profound feeling that I had that I think is really hard to put into words, because unless you have lived it, unless you have experienced it, unless you have had that sinking, nagging feeling your entire life that you're just never going to be the person or the type of person that you see other people being and realizing that I did get there and that I am okay and happy with myself, and I don't need to fight anymore. I don't need to fight and hate my self-image anymore. I can relax. I should relax. I should have probably a long time ago, but I need to relax and start to love what I'm capable of and love where I'm at and reap the benefits of this life that I've now been able to build for myself. All of these changes, all of these struggles, all of this culminated into this moment where I can either let that continue to define me, and that's just what I'm going to struggle with for the rest of my life, and just always grasping for something more, or I can be happy with the accomplishment that I've made and start to just live and enjoy my life that I now have because of it. So that's where I kind of feel like I am in a way. And I don't want to be known as the girl who had gastric bypass and talks about it online forever. That was never my intention. And as much as I really wanted to be helpful and put my experience out there and information out there so that I could be a reference for people to understand what one person's experience was like, I didn't want that to be something that had no definitive end or just kind of continued forever. I think the goal was always to live a happy, normal life. I have been thinking about and worrying about my weight for the majority of my life. And I think the idea of being able to just live, do the things that I want to do, not suffer and have a lot of hardships doing the things that I want to do, feeling like I can just sort of operate normally, I think has always been the idea. And so being in a position now where I can finally say I feel comfortable pulling back from this identity, not only doesn't continue to pigeonhole me in that, but I don't want to talk about it anymore. I think the whole goal from the very beginning was to not feel like I had to constantly talk and think about my weight. And even if I am reporting out great news and if it's all positive for my experiences lately, the fact of the matter is that I'm still talking about and thinking about my weight. And the whole goal was to be able to live a life where that isn't in the forefront of my mind anymore. And so I think that really puts me in a place where I feel just much more comfortable with where I've been at lately, at pulling back and not having that be at the forefront of my mind anymore, not having that be the end all be all of my existence. That is not to say that I'm not going to think about my weight and not going to, occasionally weigh myself and look at my choices, be mindful about what I'm doing, because I know what happens when I'm complacent. I know what happens with experience if I pretend like I have it all in the bag, because that's not realistic or smart. But that doesn't mean that I always want to be thinking about it. I want it to be a fleeting thought, a reassessment, a personal reassessment on what I need to do, what would make me feel best, and move on from that. And I feel like sometimes it can get I can feel bogged down and weighed down by this idea that I need to record and present that to other people, even though there's another small part of me in the back of my head that understands that recording that and putting that out there is helpful, and it helps other people who might be considering going through this process or who are going through this process to know that it is a never-ending thing. It is something that I always have to be mindful about and keep in my mind to some extent. I think that reminder is great for all of us, that you don't just go through surgery and then life is fixed and you move on. It, unfortunately, for the vast majority of people, does not work that way. But I also don't want to be put in a position where I feel like it's my responsibility to continue putting out content and putting out that information when, I talk all the time on this channel about mental health being a big part of this journey and a big important part of this journey. For my own mental health, I need to pull away from this being my sole identity, the girl who tries to lose weight. I don't want to do that anymore. I am in a position where I feel like I don't have to be the girl who's always trying to lose weight. And I want to make room in my life for other improvements and other things that I can add and enjoy and experience, while it not always being under the umbrella of weight loss. So there you go. That was earlier in the year, several months ago, but I think they still hold up for how I'm feeling without having to go through the process of trying to formulate my ideas again into a more complete video. What that has allowed me to do over the last several months is focus on my life, and I am doing a lot of things that I never thought that I would. I am tackling things and opening myself up to new experiences in my life as a result of not having everything focused on my weight loss, my food. I absolutely have some more work to do. I absolutely have improvements and some weight that I would like to lose. But I like to think that I've gotten myself into a point where it's more like a normal person's concerns with losing weight and not what my life has been consumed by for most of the years, which is that it's the very first thing on my mind all the time. I have a lot more going on in my life right now that is superseding my weight loss, and I think in the past I have always let that bog me down, and I think that's what would lead to me overeating and getting overstressed and gaining a bunch of my weight back and continuing that cycle throughout my life, where I think I'm approaching things from a much more balanced and understanding viewpoint, understanding to myself, kindness to myself. So hopefully that gives you a little bit more information. I do occasionally pop on and read the comments, and I do plan to maybe put out a video here and there, but I at least wanted everyone to know where I went and what's been going on. So thank you so much. I hope everything is going well in your neck of the woods. There's a lot of stress in the world right now. trying to just be kind to myself and give myself the attention and the nourishing that I need as a human being. So make sure that you're doing that for yourselves as well. And I'll catch you in the next one.